Welcome to this week's Every Vinyl Tells a Story show by Resurrection Records. And this week's topic is how to be a Beatle. And we're going to do that by reviewing the Beatles album, Beatles 65. And my guests here, would you introduce yourselves?
Irene.
And I am Michael.
All right. Irene, can you show the people out there Beatles 65? You might not be able to see it. It says Beatles 65 on the front, and the Beatles are in various poses with umbrellas and such, and one, I think Ringo's wearing sunglasses. Beatles 65, just to give some background on the production of it. We're going to talk a little bit about the production, the artistry behind it, and then we're going to talk a little bit about kind of the listener experience for Beatles 65. But the actual production of Beatles 65, or the release of Beatles 65, came in December of 1964. So the Beatles were kind of ahead of their time. It was a U.S. released album, and I think their 8th U.S. released album. But actually, the material was taken from a UK album that had been released earlier in the year. Most of the material, about 8 of the songs, were from Beatles for Sale. It was a UK release. The interesting thing is about the album, it's a lot like the early Beatles albums, were produced very fast. You guys don't think, how long do you think it took John and Paul McCartney to write the songs that they wrote on Beatles 65? How long do you think it took them to write?
I know it was really fast.
Yeah.
That's about what I know. And,
I don't know how long it takes to write a song.
Okay. Well, it was pretty fast because the way Paul describes the process is the record company would come to them and say, hey, we need you to write some songs for an album. And they'd be like, you have 4 weeks to do it. And they would usually blow off for about 3 weeks. And then Paul would go over to John's house and they would write a song a day. So the 7 songs that they wrote on this album were literally done in a week. The other 4 songs that are on the album were written by other people. Chuck Berry wrote one. Carl Perkins wrote a couple. Do you guys know who Carl Perkins is?
No.
Okay. Carl Perkins is, he wrote Blue Suede Shoes.
I was going to say
for Elvis. Yeah.
Oh,
for
yeah,
Elvis.
sure.
No, I was.
For Elvis Presley. So they, loved Elvis. So they want to be like Elvis. They wrote Carl. And then Leroy Johnson was another song that was on. It was written by another person. But we took the opportunity to listen a little bit to some of the albums, some of the songs
on the
album, and the songs on the album that we listened to were No Reply and I'm a Loser, the first 2 songs on the first side. And so
once again, songs about rejection of some kind.
Yeah, songs about rejection.
I think we have a theme.
So for No Reply, how did you feel about the music of No Reply? How was the tempo and the music? And
the tempo and the music, it was very slow. Then it really went up when he became a drama queen about halfway through and decided that he was dying.
Yeah. He said, I could have died.
Yeah, I could have died.
Yeah, but the tempo does change all of a sudden.
Die.
Yeah, he's very anguished. So before that's kind of la da 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 da, and then all of a sudden, I could have died.
Yeah, because he was discovering.
So it's pretty dramatic. What was he discovering, Irene? What happened to this?
Cheated on.
Yeah. So.
Can I just say, the first 2 on the first side is called No Reply and I'm a Loser, so it's like rejection. And then the last song on the second side is Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby.
So he's come back from all that, guys. Yeah.
Once again, a redemption song.
Yeah, redemption. But to talk a little bit about this gentleman's situation, I thought it was kind of creepy. I kind of felt like he was stalking a little bit when he found out. That
he do.
So, what did you think about that, Irene? You think he was maybe a little stalkery?
No, he was.
I think maybe going to the person's house might have been a little bit, but it depends on how long.
But he was asking friends and stuff hey,
isn't there one part where he says he's looking in a window?
No, the girl was peeking through the window.
No. The guy was looking into the window.
Okay.
It was like, I knew she could see me.
Right.
And
that might have been a little creepy.
Yeah. But whatever. He suffered a lot of rejection during it. So, so that's what happened in that. Now, I'm a Loser.
Same.
Yeah, but kind of after the fact, he's lost somebody. And Mike, what did you think? Who did you think he lost, or what do you think happened to this guy?
I think he was rejected by a close friend, maybe the 65's version of a friend zone of some kind. Because it sounds like he was rejected at the time by someone that he held dear from his life, like maybe like a close girl who was a friend that he knew wouldn't turn into a girlfriend, but didn't work out.
So what was his reaction to that? What did he do?
His reaction to that,
Yeah. What I got
I
from
think-
it was he kind of put up a shield like,
Oh.
hey, it looks like I'm happy, but I'm really not.
That's like the mid-boss.
Yeah,
Mid-boss, he was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's like a common thing that people do. It's just like try and act happy when you're
Yeah.
really sad inside, just to like put off the image. Like it's like trying to prove to yourself that you're happy when you're not.
Yeah, I think you might have picked up on more lyrics than because when I listen to it, I always think that he says, I lost somebody close to me. I think like somebody died.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think he's
We should make
really
a separate series.
grieving.
Yeah.
Yeah. But maybe it's a little too heavy, but I thought
Dad's dark interpretations.
yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
So what did you think, Irene, about the musical arrangement and
It was
compositions?
Country-ish.
Yeah, kind of
Kind
country.
of country-ish.
Yeah. And it's a lot like a lot of the early Beatles songs were kind of countryish, and there's a reason for that. Is they were actually from Liverpool, and Liverpool is actual coastal city in the UK that's right on the Irish Sea, and so there's there had been a lot of historical traffic of peoples between Ireland and England into that port. So a lot of the more kind of country-based music that has more kind of an Irish storytelling and Irish musicianship would have been in the city, and so that's what they kind of grew up on. So that's where their songs.
I like the way they put it together. It was like kind of telling a story the whole time, which was interesting. It was got kind of narrative to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Irene, what would you give Beatles 65 on a scale of 1 to 65?
On a scale of
1 to
that's
10.
so off proportions. Like 7.
Well,
I guess.
technically it's 67.
7. You're giving the Beatles a 7.
Out of 64.
Well, of the songs that we listened to.
Out of
Okay.
64, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'll take a 7. And maybe they're not the best Beatles songs. I think they're great.
I thought they were good.
I like
too.
No Reply. I could have died.
I
But
relate to
I think out of 65, I felt like that was harsh.
yeah.
No,
Okay. Well,
I was doing
No,
it
that's
out
not
of
out of
10,
10. That's out of
but
10. That's
Oh, she was doing it out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
so Mike, what do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
65.
So it's 65. Great.
Yeah.
Well, that compensates for the 7.
Yeah.
All right.
Because-
Well, Beatles 65 is a great album. It's available at Resurrection Records. That's resurrection-records.com, along with a couple other Beatles albums, good ones.
Hashtag resurrection.
Yeah,
Resurrection
and
Records.
lots of good music. But thanks for joining us here, and thank you, Mike and Irene, for
You're welcome.
sharing your views on the songs that were played. And so that kind of ends this week's episode of Every Vinyl Tells a Story. And thank you for joining us.
Later.
Still recording.